Let's get the meeting started. So I guess the first thing we'll do is kind of a unique thing tonight. We'll call the Planning Commission meeting to order first. And present, we have myself, Jay Bemke. You look online here. We have Tom Bray. We have Susan Feith and Shane Burkhart and Lee Tao. Thank you for joining us. Next, I'll call the Common Council meeting concurrently to order. All everybody could press present, which I can see everyone's present so far, except for Tom Rayom and Jake Katana. We will watch to see if they pop up online. Otherwise, present in chambers, we have Jay Bemke at Kubishak, Dean Veneman and Scott Kellogg, and then Joe Zerflu and Steve Koth are present online. Our first item of business will be Pledge of Allegiance and silent prayer in lieu of invocation. Amen. Okay. Next item is reading of the minutes of the previous meeting held on December 15th, 2020. What are your wishes?
I'll make a motion to accept.
We have a motion by Kellogg, seconded by Kubishak. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Mr. Zerflu?
Aye.
And Mr. Koth?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carried 6 ayes, 0 nays. The next item is considering a resolution recognizing the town of Saratoga for allocating their routes to recovery grant funds of $51,000 to the city of Wisconsin Rapids. Give me a second here. Which I'll read. A resolution recognizing and thanking the town of Saratoga. Whereas the town of Saratoga contacted the city's fire department in November 2020 advising that the town had approximately $50,000 in remaining funds from the routes to recovery grant. And whereas the town does contract with the city for its ambulance and EMS services, and whereas the town inquired if there were needs of the city of which those funds could be used, and whereas the town and the city agreed that those funds should be used for ambulance and EMS equipment to assist with COVID-19 pandemic, and whereas the city purchased personal protection equipment and a self-loading cot system with the funds from Saratoga. And whereas the city wishes to thank Saratoga and publicly acknowledge their actions in making those funds available to the city's fire department. Be it resolved by the Wisconsin Rapids Common Council as follows. The Common Council of the City of Wisconsin Rapids recognizes publicly, thanks the town of Saratoga and its town board for making those funds available to the city's fire department, an action which now will increase the safety of our fire department employees and all those who use the city's ambulance and EMS services. This is intergovernmental cooperation at its finest. What is your wishes?
I'll make a motion for approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Kubishak, seconded by Veneman. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. Mr. Zerflu?
Aye.
And Mr. Koth?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion carried 6 ayes, 0 nays. Our next item of business is to consider a resolution declaring September 12th, 2021 as World Migratory Bird Day for the city of Wisconsin Rapids. I'll read this one also. World Migratory Bird Day Resolution. Whereas migratory birds are some of the most beautiful and easily observed wildlife that share our communities. And whereas many citizens recognize and welcome migratory songbirds as a symbolic harbinger of spring, and whereas these migratory species also play an important economic role in our community, controlling insects, pests, and generating millions of recreational dollars statewide. And whereas these migratory species also play, whereas migratory birds and their habitat are declining through the Americas, facing a growing number of threats on their migration routes and in both their summer and winter homes. And whereas the public awareness and concern for crucial components of migratory bird conservation, and whereas citizens enthusiastic about birds, informed by their threats they face, and empowered to help address those threats, can directly contribute to maintaining healthy bird populations. And whereas the 1993 World Migratory Bird Day, formerly International Migratory Bird Day, has become a primary vehicle for focusing public attention on nearly 350 species that travel between nesting habitats in our communities and throughout North America and their wintering grounds in South and Central America, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Southern U.S. And whereas hundreds of thousands of people will observe WMBD gathering in town squares, community centers, schools, parks, nature centers, and wildlife refuges to learn about birds, take action to conserve them, and simply to have fun. And whereas, while WMBD officially is held each year on the second Saturday in May, its observance is not limited to a single day, and planners are encouraged to schedule activities on the dates best suited to the presence of both migrant and celebrant. And whereas WMBD is not only a day to foster appreciation for wild birds and to celebrate support migratory bird conservation, but also a call to action. Now therefore, I, Shane Blazer, as mayor of City of Wisconsin Rapids, do proclaim September 12, 2021 as World Migratory Bird Day. And that the citizens of Wisconsin Rapids, and I urge all citizens to celebrate this observance and to support efforts to protect and conserve migratory birds and their habitats in our community and world at large. Council, we have Mary Dom online if somebody wants to recognize her. We have Mr. Kubishak recognizing Mary Dom. If you'd like to speak.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing Bird City to be here and for the resolution to be on the agenda. Wisconsin Rapids has been a bird city since 2013, so this is our 7th year. We are run by a committee of private citizens, unlike Tree City, which I believe the City of Wisconsin Rapids administers. We have to meet certain criteria every year in order to achieve renewal. We celebrate International Migratory Bird Day as part of the Grand Affair in September. So that's why the September 12th date. One of the advantages to cities, and there are 111 cities in Wisconsin that are bird cities, is that it highlights our natural assets as a community. In fact, our Convention and Visitors Bureau has birding as one of our major attractions in this area. So as a committee, and the Prairie Chicken Festival is one example of one of those festivals that the Convention and Visitors Bureau highlights. We also have to meet criteria related to preservation of habitat, forestry management, which we do through Tree City education. We also have to show that we engage in energy and sustainability activities. So it definitely is an advantage to the city to participate in this program because it highlights what we've done and what we're working on right now. And I would encourage every council person, if you're interested, to go to Bird City, Wisconsin, the website, and click on Wisconsin Rapids to see what we've highlighted as the city's accomplishments in this regard. So I appreciate your time, and I'm going to hand it off to Elizabeth, who is also on the Bird City Committee. Elizabeth?
You're muted, Elizabeth.
There we go. I'm a Wisconsin Rapids. I live on 15th Avenue North, and I wanted to say I usually get around the city quite a bit, and I see a lot of people with bird feeders and, enjoying the birds. I know we've had different programs and, having the kids learning more about birds. There's a lot of enthusiasm in the town. And I think that's even gotten more as people have been quarantined and having to stay at home. They've really been enjoying seeing the nature right out in their backyards. And, even just hearing the geese flying overhead, I can see sometimes eagles flying over on my side of town, and we hear the Santo planes and things. And so it's just it's an important part of living in Wisconsin, is having that connection to the natural world, and being able to enjoy all the things that living in a city in this area has benefits for. So I appreciate the work that the city is doing along those lines.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments and taking up this cause. Council, what is your wishes?
Make a motion to move forward with the resolution.
We have a motion by Veneman, second by Kellogg. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. Mr. Zerflu?
Aye.
Mr. Rayon?
Aye.
And Mr. Koth?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion carries seven.
I apologize, Mayor, because I had trouble getting on that.
No problem. I was just gonna, I forgot.
That's why I joined you late. I have to apologize, so I had to go through Tyler and got me back on.
Nope, sounds good. I was going to announce that you joined us already. So, yes, we have Mr. Rayon present, and we motion carried 7 ayes and 0 nays. Thank you very much. Our next item of business is a request from Common Council President Kubishek to consider for approval a council rule which would require that alderpersons who are not in physical attendance at a standing committee or common council meeting may appear via video conference for the meeting, provided that their video feed is enabled so their attendance and presence at the meeting, as well as their voting, can be seen and confirmed. Mr. Kubishek?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is more of a clarification, because we had actually approved this with the emergency declaration last council meeting, and I don't know if we realized it, if we didn't realize it. One of the concerns that I had, and I spoke with Attorney Schill about it, was that was because it was wrapped up in the emergency declaration, it would either have to be approved every single time, and there was no real continuity with it. I really, as far as the council member, I'm not strongly leaning one way or the other on this, but what my concern is either we're going to do it or we're not. So this is an opportunity that if we're not going to do it, let's repeal it tonight. If we are going to do it, we're going to move forward, and we're forward with it, and we're going to enforce it. And I'm not casting any blame or anything like that, but it's just the little bit of confusion that myself had, and maybe if anybody else had with that. So that's why I want this as a specific council rule, as a specific agenda item, and we'll vote up or down on this and move forward and enforce whatever we decide.
Thank you. Mr. Veneman?
Yes, I just wanted to go on record as saying I agree with this. And And I also want to say, perfectly understand during the pandemic if people want to attend via Zoom rather than in person. That's perfectly understandable, no question on that. But I do think that the city does provide us with the technology and the equipment to appear in person, if you will, via Zoom. So that way the constituents who are viewing the video, whether it be on Facebook or Zoom, can see and hear the people talk and look in their eyes and make sure that everybody's present at the time. So I'm all in favor of it.
Thank you. Anybody online?
Honor?
I'm sorry, yep. Go ahead, Mr.
Your Honor,
Cole.
may I please?
Yep, go ahead, Mr. Cole.
Thank you, Your Honor. I understand the reason why they would want video feed enabled for verification purposes, but I have some reservations on it. Number one, there have been cases in the past where even before the laptops, we've had council members prepare here by a telepresence and vote. And that was acceptable. Now, I understand that that's an apples to oranges comparison because you're talking about video feed compared to telepresence, and two totally different things. However, COVID-19 has taken us all into unprecedented territory as we still continue to hear that in 2021. And my concern with having to do anything online is somebody's house is their private dwelling. It is their private residence. And, you know, it's, you try to find a room in your house that is acceptable for you to do a broadcast in. You have your family here. You have your wife. You have your children. You have your pets. You have other things going on. In some cases, I don't necessarily think inviting the 18,000 people of the city and surrounding area into your house is something that you should be required to do because COVID-19 has prompted a lot of places to go online. I think that should be a personal choice. If we have questions about whether it's actually the older person attending the meeting or doing what they're doing, older persons can be equipped with a PIN number to verify their identity at the beginning of the meeting. But I'm not gonna overdo it. I just think when you have to use the telepresence option, I think that you should have a right to keep your house private. That's just my opinion.
Thank you. Does Mr. Aom or yeah, just
I couldn't say it any better than Steve did. So.
okay.
No.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I don't have feelings either way.
I'm sorry, Joe?
Now I think I'm unmuted.
Yes, there you go.
I really don't have strong feelings.
Okay. Thank you, sir. What are your wishes? Go ahead, Mr. Kubitschek.
I'm going to speak here and not in terms of for or in favor of or against, but what I want to do is make sure that everybody understands that if this emergency declaration is not continued, or depending upon how we vote on this, and if the emergency declaration is not continued, every council member is required to be here, or there's an obligation to be here. So there is no council rule that gives council members the ability to be at home, whether it's calling in or whatever. Now, you know, there's been specific instances.
Brad,
Hold on,
I'm
Mr.
okay. Brad, I'm not interrupting to interrupt. Okay. I just want to,
Yep.
if I can interject.
Mr. Aom, how about I let Mr. Kubitschek finish and I'll recognize you?
Okay. Okay.
Thank
okay.
you. Go ahead, Mr. Kubitschek.
I wasn't interrupting. I just want to ask a question.
Yep. I'll let him finish his statement.
There is, I mean, you are compelled to be here. As a council member, the minute that you put your name on the ballot and were elected, there's an obligation. We can discuss privacy and everything else, but the fact of the matter is that there is not a council rule or a local ordinance that allows us as council members to either call in or remote in or anything else. You've got an obligation here. Now, in the past, when that has happened, when someone has telephoned in, the council, we can, on the fly, decide to violate our own rules. We'll suspend the rules. And for example, one case or an example of a case why you would want to do that or why it may have done that is if there was 5 people here and you need a 6th person to get a quorum. You call around and you say, hey, can you call in? And then the council says, well, you know what? We're going to suspend our own rules and we're going to allow this to happen, but there is nothing on the books right now. And I'm just arguing this for clarification. This is the fact. It's not my opinion. The fact of the matter is unless we provide a council rule to vote on that allows us to do this, if the emergency declaration does fail and this particular thing fails, and moving forward, if you do not show up to the council chambers, there is a possibility that the public, the voting public, can say that you're vacating the office because you have an obligation, being an elected council member, to be at these meetings, period. I mean, a circuit court judge may decide that one way or the other, but if you don't show up, and especially if you don't have an excuse, good excuse, bad excuse, or whatever, there could be a charge of vacation of office. So I just want everybody to understand that. Again, I'm not trying to sway a vote one way or the other, but these are the facts.
Mr. Rayom, you're next.
Good, I'm glad I am. I hope you can all hear me. I want to see that proven in facts. I want to see that before we vote on anything, that is what it is. And actually, if we had nuts enough, we would do it. We would adjourn this meeting tonight. But that ain't going to go anywhere. Alderman Kubishak can talk his head off just like his old man did and says nothing. You people weren't even alive, most of you. Yeah, when he was bragging about it. He just waved his arms about and screamed just like he's doing.
Yeah, let's stick to the topic here, Mr. Rayom.
It is on the top.
Well, Mr. Kubishak's father is not.
So what does Mr. Kubishak want to do? He wants that we can all be on TV. Show me the facts. I need facts before I make a decision. I need facts and figures. Don't tell me what it is if you're not there, because that what he just said condemns me to that I have to show up at City Hall. That's what I tried to do years ago, and they said I couldn't. That's why we had people camping up north, and they called in. No, they called in. So if you're going to really get down to it, get down to it. Talk what the truth is. Talk about what the truth is. We're not going to weed out whoever. I stand up for people. Yes, I do. I don't stand up for whoever. I haven't been here for 30 years doing this. No. I've had a couple mayors call me whatever they call me. I won't even tell me that they call me. Yeah. This is real life. Should we have to plug down? We have to plug down. Then we have to officially stay where we're at. And if that is, then there could be nobody that's going to call up on a telephone to report in. So that's off the line. That's off the line. They can't call in on a telephone to report what you want to say. unless you have a smartphone, and somehow you can hook up with whatever. Yeah, and you better not be driving in a car, Joe, by doing it, so, no. Better park it, and then you're gonna be on the smartphone. Yeah, you can that way. I don't know that way. You can't call in on anything. So if you don't trust me for what I am, I just speak from where I am. And let me tell you, just one thing that's going to throw you all off board is that 12 noon tomorrow, we get a new president.
Okay. What are your wishes? Mr. Kellogg?
I don't know if we have to have rules or details as to why we accept this or not. I'm going to accept it. And basically, I just feel my constituents and all of our constituents want to see us. And I just feel that's my obligation when I ran for this position. And so it's not a matter of coming back to the Common Council with data and so forth. I think it's just, in my opinion, it's just my feeling of common sense and obligation to my constituents. Now, I've been here at the meetings, but if I was at home, now I'm on the library board and we're meeting via conferencing, and there we're expected to show our picture on the screen, and so everybody can see each other and talk to each other. And I don't think that there has to be rules to prove it or not prove it. In my opinion, it's just the obligation that when we took our offices, the obligation we have to our constituents. So that's the reason I'm going to vote for it, not to have a whole list of rules of why we should or shouldn't. I just think it makes common sense. So that's where I'm coming from. Thanks.
If I may, Mayor, Tom Rayon.
Yep, go ahead, Tom.
If I may? If I may, and where do not disagree with Mr. Kellogg. My pictures actually were on the screen when it started, then I lost it. So if this is where this comes from, no, because I couldn't get back on there. So finally I did it today, and Tyler was able to put it back up there. I don't have a problem with people seeing me. That's what it is. But somewhere I lost it and I couldn't get back on the picture. So finally, between Tyler and whatever he did, they put it back on, so it's there. And that probably is where part of this comes from. But I wasn't hiding whatever. So.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no further discussions, what are your wishes?
I'll make a motion to approve the request by Councilmember Kubchak.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Veneman, second by Kellogg. Any further, and the motion is to approve.
I can read it.
Yeah, I was just trying to find on my agenda here.
I'll make a motion to approve the council rule which would require that alderpersons who are not in physical attendance at a standing committee or common council meeting may appear. Oh, jeez. Okay, I'll make a motion that, for approval of a council rule that would require alderpersons who are not in physical attendance at a standing committee or common council meeting may appear via video conference for the meeting, provided their video feed is enabled so that attendance and presence at the meeting, as well as their voting, can be seen and confirmed.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Bemke, go ahead.
So if we pass this, what are the penalties, the consequences, or if you don't?
You don't need to address that.
Go ahead.
Well, then you're not participating in the meeting. So, like, let's say someone just called in, well, then they wouldn't be able to participate in the meeting. They're not counted for purposes of a quorum, nor can they vote. I suppose they could listen to the meeting if they wanted to, but I'm assuming we would probably take measures to mute them. I mean, they either have to fully follow by the rules, or they're not counted as a participant in the meeting.
Thank you.
Sue? Following up, I think Mr. Kubiszak mentioned that if a person can't video in or whatever you call it, that they could ask the committee or they could ask the council for that particular meeting. Let's say for some reason, somehow, I can't, for that particular meeting, show my picture on the screen and so forth. I could ask that committee or that council for that time to waive it.
Right, to suspend the rule, right.
Okay.
Anything further? Seeing none or hearing none, please cast your ballots. Mr. Zerflu?
Aye.
Mr. Rayom?
No,
And Mr. Koth?
Nay.
Motion carried, 5 ayes, 2 nays. Thank you, Mr. Koth. Our next item is the consider resolution extending the emergency declaration proclamation regarding COVID-19 pandemic. You might notice in there, and I apologize, I didn't send an email out ahead of time to point it out, but if you read through the resolution, another thing that I had added is to allow 5 days of vacation carryover that people weren't able to use. And also that could potentially, that 5 days they could use to help cover additional COVID leave if they needed additional time.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Tom Realm, is this more than what general business is giving or whatever?
I do not know. I didn't research it beforehand. I just know that, what I do know is I've had department heads tell me that if they might have been, and I know for a fact that we've had some department heads that have been on vacation, and when their subordinates have had to take off and be quarantined, that those department heads had to cancel their vacation and they came back to work. So then I thought, well, here's an opportunity where they were not able to use their time. And now here's an opportunity for them to carry it over, additional 5 days for this 1 year. And then it could also be used for COVID leave. But I did not research it out at all.
And I'm not gonna, and I haven't either, researched what the private businesses are doing and whatever. I haven't researched that either, but it's just somewhere it seems to be that they threw the union out. And so why should we accommodate them? Not just supervision. No. You can tie it all in together. They decertified. They have to come bargaining for it. Individually. That's what they have to do. Individually. One by one. Not the whole group. No. Not the whole group. They're not a union. City staff is not a union. No. So I'd recommend that we deny it.
Thank you. Mr. Kubaschak next, and then Mr. Zerflu.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess that I was looking for clarification on that too, as far as, and I don't understand a union comment. I'm a card-carrying union member, proud dues-paying union member, but I will never, ever punish anybody for decertifying from a union, period. But what we're talking about is department heads who wouldn't belong to a union anyway. So I don't even understand what that topic is about. But can you explain the fact that what we're doing is allowing a rollover of existing vacation that they already had, they already earned. This is accrued vacation. This isn't like you're just throwing out 5 days to everybody willy-nilly. It's because of the fact that it wasn't able to be used by December 31st, 2020. You're allowing and not punishing people, you're allowing them to be able to take that within the calendar year 2021, correct?
That is correct. It's not an additional 5 days. It is time that they had earned last year that they did not get an opportunity to use this year. And it doesn't affect a lot of people, but it does affect some people. Excuse me, Mr. Zerflu?
Yeah, I actually just wanted to make sure that it will also apply to the employees that are covered under a collective bargaining agreement.
Yes. So one of the units doesn't have a need. They did not run into an issue. And the other one, I believe there are a few people that it would apply to, and it would be available to them also.
Okay, and I think you're still looking for a motion. I would make a motion to approve the continuation of the emergency resolution as presented.
Thank you. Mr. Zerflu made the motion, seconded by Mr. Veneman to continue the declaration. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. Mr. Zerflu?
Aye.
Mr. Rayom?
No.
And Mr. Koth?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carried, 6 ayes, 6 ayes and 1 nay. Next item of business is our joint hearing with the Plan Commission. I guess the first item, Kyle, did you want to take one item at a time, or? Okay. So the first item on the joint, and I'll have Mr. Kearns kind of explain why we're doing this after we get going here. The first public hearing is a request from Michelle Sweeney and Virginia Shaluki for a conditional use permit to operate a dog training center, dog training use at 1020 to 1022 West Grand Avenue, parcel ID 34011969. Mr. Kearns.
Thanks, Mayor. So tonight there'll be 3 public hearings jointly held with the Plan Commission and the Common Council. They're all in regards to conditional use permits. In our zoning code, it does require a joint meeting to be held. The Plan Commission did originally hear these on January 4th at their normally scheduled meeting, but the public hearings were not conducted at that time, so they are before you tonight. I thoroughly reviewed each within the Plan Commission packet, which is part of the Common Council packet, and my recommendations were made in that packet as well. The Plan Commission did act on all 3 items. I would ask that the Plan Commission act again tonight on the 3 items. The first item that the mayor mentioned is a request for dog training use. I do want to note that the Plan Commission did recommend approval on January 4th with 5 conditions. The first being a conditional use permit is solely used for dog training on the property. The outdoor animal bathroom area shall be completely screened from surrounding property within a minimum 3-foot high fence. Number 3, outdoor dog training shall occur within a fully fenced area which does not interfere with parking and circulation on site. Number 4, the premise shall be kept clean and orderly, including the disposal of animal waste daily. And number 5, no boarding of animals shall occur on the property.
Thank you, Mr. Kearns. So right now, I'll open up the public hearing at 6:45. I'll call for anybody who wants to speak against the conditional use permit. And for a second time, I'll see if there's anyone wishes to speak against the permit. And lastly, is there anybody that wishes to speak against the conditional use permit?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
and I don't know where I can speak on, in favor of or against. So it's, would dogs have to be on leash? Be leashed. They'd have to be on a leash at all times outside. I've been totally fined, and I watched the meeting back in January. So just so Kyle, if you maybe can back it up on whatever.
Yeah.
Dogs to be leashed.
Yeah.
Because that's what they have. That's what they have to be in the city, and so I don't see any difference with that. But
Correct. I
for
think,
dog training, they're gonna be. I would think they're gonna be on leash at some point in time.
so in response to your
Some point in
question,
time, I think so.
Go ahead, Mr. Kearns.
in response to your question, one of the conditions requires that any outdoor training shall be fully fenced. So if dogs are off leash for any outdoor training, they will be contained within a fully fenced area. And that fenced area cannot interfere with the parking and circulation on site. It's my understanding at the January 4th meeting that the applicant indicated that they likely would not pursue any outdoor dog training because of that condition, and that is their option if they want to. But again, that condition did remain as of the Plan Commission recommendation.
No, that's why I wanted to make it clear that that was said at the meeting, enclosed to be in there, and so what if you just said is going to be written down, that's what it'll be. But I'll go along with that. So.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Susan.
I just would like to note or ask a question of Kyle. When we held our meeting, the Planning Commission meeting, at which we did not have the public hearing, one gentleman was either online or on premises and voiced objection. I didn't catch his name, but I would be wondering whether or not that person was given notice that he would have to attend this meeting in order to state his case.
Mr. Kearns?
In response to your question, that individual is identified within the January 4th meeting minutes, and his comments were generally summarized that he expressed concerns about the future use of the area and the intersection. I'm sorry, let me jump back. He expressed concerns over the noise and animal waste on the premise. So that has been documented in the meeting minutes from January 4th. We pursued the local and statutory requirements with regards to posting another notice of public hearing in the local newspaper and then providing those same individuals within a 300-foot radius around the property notice via letter in the mail.
Thank you.
Okay, let's finish up the public hearing. Does anybody wish to speak in favor of the request? Secondly, does anybody wish to speak in favor of the request? And lastly, is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of the request? Okay, let's close the public hearing at 6:49. So I guess I'll make a motion as a plan commission member, because what we'll do is we'll have plan commission take action on this item. And then once we get through the public hearing, or through this item, we'll have a report for council then to consider the actions of the plan commission. So the only members that will make motions and vote and seconds and vote will be plan commission members at this time. And so I'm willing to make a motion to approve the conditional use permit request to operate the dog training at 1022 West Grand Avenue, parcel ID 34019969.
Second.
Second from Burkhart.
So we got a second by Mr. Burkhart. Any further discussion from plan commission members?
Just to confirm, Mayor, it is with those 5 conditions recommended?
Correct.
Thank you.
Correct. Any further discussions? So plan commission members, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Does anybody oppose? Hearing none, that motion carries. So the second conditional use permit would be to hold a public hearing on a request from the Wisconsin Rapids School District for a conditional use permit to expand the outdoor recreational facilities at 1801 16th Street South, parcel ID 3414751. Mr. Kearns.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, this item was recommended for approval by the Plan Commission on January 4th. They recommended approval of only the conditional use permit. So at that time, the site plan review, plan of operation, and architectural review were also part of the request. But in summary, Plan Commission felt that given the lack of information, some specifics on the concession building, some location and zoning requirements on the parking lot expansion, that they did not want to approve the site plan review at that time. So they did recommend approval of the conditional use with 2 of the following conditions. 1, the conditional use permit shall only apply to those lands within the city of Wisconsin Rapids. However, if annexation of adjacent property occurs prior to the construction of improvements, this permit shall extend to such annexed lands as shown. And there in the minutes is a map showing such lands southeast of the school property. And condition 2, site plan review by the Plan Commission shall occur prior to construction.
Thank you, Mr. Kearns. So I will open up the public hearing at 6:53, and I would entertain anybody who wishes to speak against the project. Secondly, for a second time, does anybody wish to speak against the conditional use permit? And lastly, anybody wish to speak against the conditional use permit?
Mr. Mayor, I don't know which side of which one I want to come down on.
Okay.
I'm not speaking against the project. I'm speaking against that we really don't know all what there is. And that's why. We don't know what there all is. It's all laid out to be, and who is, and that. So I guess if I come down talking against, I do that. But on the other hand, it's a great project. But we don't know everything yet. We don't know everything yet. We don't know anything, who's going to put light standards at the ballparks.
That's one of the reasons why we, as a commission, wanted to have it come back again and did not go with a full blanket approval. We still have many other stages to, as information comes along, to be able to look at it.
Okay. And I appreciate that. And talking with Water and Light is they don't put up, my understanding, they don't put up light standards. How to light the field. They'll provide the power. They do not provide the light stand. That's my understanding. That's why I think this thing is, we've gotten totally way too fast. I appreciate what you just said. And that's why I think it should come back before we go forward. It should come back before we go forward. Bring it back.
And it will, Tom, it will also.
Water and light does not put up light standards. They don't. That's to be determined by whoever does it. Who that is, I don't know.
Yeah, that project has not been let yet, so we don't know who any of the contractors are that are doing any of those things at this point yet.
But that's an added cost. That's a cost that has not been talked about. Added cost. That should all be there on the table in front of us. All it should be. Like when I have Thanksgiving turkey, I know what I'm getting. That should be all on the table. It should be there. Should all be there, laid out in front of us. What's the total cost going to be?
I guess from the commission.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Is that would the cost then go into light, or who would go on? Who pays for it?
From the commission's standpoint, we looked at it as that, you know, this is one of the many steps that need to be checked off. And at that point, for that part that we narrowed our scope to, we did not see issues to then continue on to other things. That does not mean it's a written check and it's ready to go. It's just, I mean, the multiple steps of a project and how the life cycle of a project goes. I mean, I know this very well because this is what I do for a living, is get projects built. So it is not, you know, it's just one of the hoops that need to be jumped through, and that information may not exist right now. So from a commission standpoint, what we were talking about was this area that was presented to us. We even narrowed down the scope and said, well, we are comfortable with this checkbox, and we would like to, you know, say that that checkbox is fulfilled, and we want to see more in the future.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. I may disagree with it, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think we need to go through the public hearing, and then we can still have this discussion even after the public hearing. So I think let's get through the public hearing, and then if there's any further discussion on the items, then we can discuss. But so let's continue on with anybody wishing to speak in favor of the request. Mr. Bemke, I assume you have something for after the public hearing?
Yeah, I think I will, but I think we have a school district representative on, and if you prefer to wait till we're done with the public hearing, that's fine.
Not yet. What's that? Yep. So that was the first time I called for 3 on against, and that was the first 4. Yep. And so secondly, does anybody wish to speak in favor of the project?
Mr. Mayor, Craig Broren, Superintendent, Wisconsin Rapids Public Schools.
Yes, sir.
Clearly, I wouldn't be on if I wasn't here in favor of the project. I think to Alderperson Rayom's concerns, we don't yet know who the lighting bid for sports lighting in particular will go to. That's in process, as is other aspects of the project. I guess I would just point out for those that might not be 100% clear of where we're talking, this would be associated with where we already have athletic facilities on school property and so forth. So, I mean, just from my perspective, clearly in favor. I don't see that as being significantly different than the use we currently have for that allocation of property.
Thank you.
Craig, did I ask you one question?
How about we, let's get through the public hearing first, and then Tom, then we can have a discussion, if that works.
Yeah. Yep.
And for the third time, does anybody wish to speak in favor of the project? Okay, thank you. So what are your wishes, Plan Commission?
I'll make a motion to approve the project for Wisconsin Rapids Public Schools for a conditional use permit for the outdoor recreation facility on 16th Street.
Thank you. We have a motion by Bemke,
Second the motion.
and then Mr. Bray will second it. So now is the opportunity for Mr. Rayom, your question.
Yeah, just a question to Craig, and just so we can talk, okay?
Yeah.
Not defining moment, but
I will.
Why isn't this put on, because it's on school board property? Why isn't this part of a referendum? And who's going to control it? Who's going to run it? And all the other stuff after. And so I'm not against it. I think it's a great thing. But I think that someone been backdoored. Unfortunately, I have to use that word, but that's what it is.
Well,
Craig, who's going to operate it? Who's going to run it? Who's going to fund it?
it's on school district property, so the school district will ultimately be responsible for the maintenance, upkeep, and operations of the facility. It's not going to be managed or maintained by anybody else. The collaborative agreement that we intend to have in place with various user groups will hopefully long-term underwrite the cost of maintenance and upkeep long-term. We do believe that's going to bring significant numbers of people, both for use and for spectating into the community, and would generate some dollars directly to the facility itself, as well as the economic impact of the local area. So that's the answer to that question. Secondly, with regard to, backdoor, I guess I'm keenly aware of what protocols we have in place as a school district that know full well what we need to do to get things approved and not approved. And if we don't follow proper channels, those things don't get approved. In communicating with the mayor and other individuals on the council, I don't have any reason to believe we're not following proper protocol. And I would encourage the council to ensure that we are. I mean, we're working with a public school district in a city, so I certainly don't want to be involved in something that's perceived to be underhanded or not in the light of day. And I would argue, that this has been. But nonetheless, to address your further concern about why this would not be part of a referendum, I think it's been made quite clear that the development of the property was in conjunction with community groups and spearheaded by individuals other than the school district. So this is not at the heart of it a school district initiative, but it is an opportunity for the school district to be a meaningful contributing partner within the community, including organizations like the city, as well as other various user groups and community members, to develop an amenity that would be used on a community sort of basis. School district property is, of course, for community use. So the school district being involved in this makes a lot of sense, in addition to the fact that we benefit from it. So clearly there's, some intentions there on behalf of the school. But on the same hand, it is about community development and us being involved in that. Why would we not ask for a referendum for a 4-ball diamond quadplex? Well, frankly, there's no need for the school district standalone to have a 4-diamond baseball, softball quadplex. So that was never part of the plan to go to referendum for something of this nature. The development had to do more with that community input and the fact that the school district could be involved as a meaningful partner and would directly and indirectly benefit from being involved. Lastly, the Legacy Foundation and other donors so far have contributed a significant amount of money towards the project so that it doesn't saddle taxpayers with costs for things that would not be necessary for the functioning and the operation of a school district such as ours. So there's a lot of solid rationale as to why this isn't a referendum type expenditure.
Thank you. And hold on a second, Mr. Rayom. Mr. Burkhardt also pointed out that, this is going to come back to Planning Commission several more times at the Planning Commission's request. So we will be seeing this project continuously be coming before Plan Commission for review and also back through Common Council through the reports. Go ahead, Mr. Rayom.
Well, no, what you just said, if I totally understood that, before anything is going to be done, more plans have to come back before planning.
Correct, Mr. Kearns.
Yeah, absolutely. So more plans have to come back before Planning Commission before anything can be done.
Yep. So, Mr. Kearns, I'm just going to ask him what will be coming before Plan Commission yet.
So with action tonight to approve the conditional use, that would mean that, again, with condition 2, the site plan approval, the architectural review, and the plan of operations review, which can be grouped together, would come back to Plan Commission. I believe it is the applicant's intent to take this before Plan Commission in February. In addition to that, there is likely going to be an annexation request with a portion of the property that the school district owns that falls outside of the city. It's a smaller property, I think about 4 acres in size, possibly less. I believe it is the applicant's request also to make that request before the Plan Commission in February. Those would be the 2 requirements. There could be additional requirements such as dedication of public right-of-way during or after the annexation, and any other approvals with regards to extension of utilities as well.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
I just, something came to my mind that was not discussed in the previous Planning Commission meeting, and Mr. Groen brings up the fact that the entire plot of land is school district property. It would be my recollection historically that when the ice skating rink at the corner of Grove and 16th, which would be the southwest corner of the property, was built, that it was owned, or it was given into ownership, or the building was given into ownership to the Hockey Association. Has that changed? And I see that it's encased in this drawing here as being owned by the school district at this point.
The property on which the rec center sits, Susan, is school district. The rec center itself is technically owned by the rec center, by the board that's in charge of the rec center.
Okay, given that, Craig, is there any portion of the new project which might have the same kind of ownership split?
On the front end, I don't believe so, and the reason being is that, as you all likely know, the rec center is largely to house the hockey arena and so forth. In this case, there really isn't going to be a facility built that's going to be for sport use. The facility itself is going to be, the sport use aspects of the facility will be all outdoors, i.e. baseball, softball. And then there'll be a restroom and concession building in the center of the quadplex, along with dugouts and press boxes and these sorts of things. But there really isn't like a base of operations there where you're going to have offices and meeting spaces and those sorts of things. And it's not really going to be occupied with regular frequency. It'll be occupied based on whatever entity is using the quadplex at the time. So to be direct, no, I don't believe that ownership of it will change, although there will be lease and rental and use agreements in place. Some of those may allow for various flexibilities that may not be allowed for school district use or other kind of use. One of the questions that's out there, we're entertaining the question with our attorney, would be if we have if a group is hosting adult league baseball or softball, could they sell beer out of the concession stand, as an example? Clearly, that's a revenue generator for the organization that would be using it at the time. Although I don't have a definitive answer from our attorney, the initial response was it appears that that might be the case, but we would have to have proper agreements and documentation in place if that would be the case. So technically, that there wouldn't be any ownership change of any aspect of the facility as there is with the rec center, but there may be subsidiary agreements that allow for more flexible use of the space than just if it were school district.
Thanks. I guess that brings up another question. Obviously, we went through the same issue with regard to alcoholic beverages when we built the PAC. And there, I believe the final decision was that no alcohol would be used on premises. So is there a difference then between one activity and the other, sports versus performing arts?
No, not markedly that I'm aware of. And, I'm only minimally in the loop on what those conversations were around the PAC several years ago. But I've been around long enough, at least at this point, to know that those requests have come through to have, for example, a nice evening of listening to an orchestra or perhaps some kind of concert, with a wine tasting accompanying that as part of a fundraiser. I can see where that might be beneficial, of course, if there's not student or kids involved in that circumstance. And if that request becomes something that we need to look into and also receive a definitive answer on from legal counsel, we'll certainly do so. But in the 4 years that I've been here so far, I think the question was posed to me one time and frankly didn't go very far after a brief conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Craig, I have a follow-up question as it came from a person who attended the Planning Commission meeting, had some concerns potentially about noise and you had mentioned adult women and men's softball. Have they been a part of this group, or is their intent to, and you may not know, is if their intent is to try to use that facility or keep their home base over in the Mead Field area?
I don't have a definitive answer on that either. Our hope would be that groups, particularly local groups, would be like, hey, we want to use that, and would do so in the form of fees and some cost-sharing arrangements with respect to the sale of concessions and that sort of thing. The whole point of building it would be for use, of course, and community use. So our hope would be that groups use it, but I don't know. I don't have anything. We have nothing, lock, stock, and barrel that guarantees that this is how it's going to look, several months from now.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Bemke? Nope, you're good. Anyone else? Seeing none.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So, for my understanding, okay? Tom Reomier, that this will come back before planning again, before anything is done?
That is correct. Correct, Mr. Kearns?
Before a city spends any money or anything. It'll come back before planning again, right?
Correct. Mr. Kearns?
Before construction starts of the proposed improvements, it would have to come back to Plan Commission for site plan review.
I'm not certain if it helps the council, but we clearly have no intentions of starting construction until spring. And as I indicated, would follow the proper channels as we move forward.
Does that
I appreciate that, Craig. Craig.
Does that cover your questions, Mr. Rayholm?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So we have a motion and a second, correct, Kyle?
Yeah, motion by Bemke, seconded by Bray to approve with the 2 conditions recommended by staff.
Thank you. So Plan Commission members, seeing no further discussion or questions, All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody oppose? That motion carried. To our last public hearing, also, I forgot to mention earlier at 7:01 is when we stopped the plan or the public hearing. So our third public hearing is on Bulk Storage Inc. for a conditional use permit to construct a storage building for biosolids on city property located at an unaddressed parcel along 21st Avenue North, parcel ID 3400279. Mr. Kearns.
Again, this request was recommended for approval by the Plan Commission on January 4th. It's a fairly simple request. Again, information has been included in the council packet and the original Plan Commission packet. The recommendation was made to approve with two conditions of approval. One, that applicable building and stormwater permit shall be obtained, and two, community development staff shall have the authority to approve minor modifications to the plan.
Thank you. And once we get through the public hearing, if anybody has any questions about the building and its use or anything like that, Mr. Terry is online, and he would be able to answer those questions, I'm assuming. So let's at 7:16 begin the public hearing regarding this conditional use permit. So anybody who wishes, does anybody wish to speak against allowing the conditional use permit? For a second time, does anybody wish to speak against the issuance of the permit? And for a final time, does anybody wish to speak against the conditional use permit? Okay, if anybody wish to speak in favor of issuing the conditional use permit?
I'll just, from me, Mayor, and I'm on wastewater, whatever commission, that I'll speak in favor of it. I speak in favor of it.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Rayo. Secondly, for a second time, does anybody wish to speak in favor of issuing the conditional use permit? And for a final time, does anybody wish to speak in favor of the conditional use permit? We will close the public hearing at 7:17. Plan Commission, what are your wishes?
Move for approval.
We have a motion by Susan Feith.
Second from Burkhart.
We got a second from Burkhart. Is there any further discussion or questions regarding the building? Seeing none, Plan Commission members, all in favor say aye.
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 Does anybody oppose? Thank you, motion carries. So at this point, yeah, so then we can adjourn the Plan Commission? Okay. So at this point, we can adjourn the Plan Commission meeting. I'll make that motion to get it going to adjourn the Plan Commission meeting. We have a second by Bemke. I want to thank the Plan Commission members for taking their time this evening to attend this meeting. We plan to discuss next month on how we can maybe improve this process a little bit better, or begin that discussion. So all in favor to adjourn, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none, thank you very much for attending.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Night.
You guys. Bye.
Okay, so now on to our next item is consider the adoption, for adoption, the actions of the Plan Commission at its meetings held on January 4th and this evening's meeting. I'll start with January 4th. Let Mr. Kearns catch up. Regarding Plan Commission meeting January 4th, the Plan Commission met at 4 p.m. on January 4th in the Common Council chambers. A list of attendees are on file in the clerk's office. The meeting was called to order at 4:01 p.m. First item was approval of reports from the December 7th, 2020 Plan Commission meeting. Motion by Bemke, second by Feith, to approve the reports from December 7th, 2020 Plan Commission meeting. That motion carried 7 ayes, 0 nays. Item 2 is Plan 20-1018, Michelle Sweeney and Virginia Shaluki, for a conditional use permit to operate a dog training use at 1020 to 1022 West Grand Avenue, parcel ID 3401969. Speaking against the plan 20-1018 was Mr. David Hopper, McKinley Street, who expressed concerns over noise and animal waste on the presence. There was a motion by Bemke, seconded by Burkhart, to approve Plan 20-1018, Michelle Sweeney and Virginia Shaluki, conditional use permit to operate a dog training use at 1020 to 1022 West Grand Avenue, parcel ID 3401969, subject to the following conditions. The first is a conditional use permit is solely for dog training use on the property. Second is the outdoor animal bathroom area shall be completely screened from surrounding property with a minimum of a 3-foot high fence. Outdoor dog training shall occur within a fully fenced area which does not interfere with parking and circulation on site. The premise shall be kept clean and orderly, including disposal of animal waste daily. And there should be no boarding or animals shall occur on the property. That motion carried 7 ayes, 0 nays. Item 3 is Plan 20-1020, Wisconsin Rapids Public School District. Conditional use permit to expand the outdoor recreational facility at 1801 16th Street South, parcel ID 3414751. Mr. Eric Davin of 21st Place South expressed concerns about future use of the area and the intersections of 21st Street and Grove. Say it's 21st Place and Grove. Motion by Bemke, seconded by Feith, to approve Plan 20-1020, Wisconsin Rapids Public School District. Conditional use permit to expand the outdoor recreational facilities at 1801 16th Street South, parcel ID 3414751, subject to the following conditions. The conditional use permit shall only apply to those lands within the city of Wisconsin Rapids. However, if annexation of adjacent properties occur prior to the construction of the improvements, this permit shall extend to such annexed lands as shown. Second one is site plan review by Plan Commission will or shall occur prior to that construction. That motion carried 7 ayes, 0 nays. Item 4, Plan 20-1034, Bulk Storage, Inc., conditional use permit to construct a storage building for the biosolids on city property located at the unaddressed parcels along 21st Avenue North, parcel ID 3400279. That motion by Blazer, seconded by Bemke, to approve Plan 20-1034, Bulk Storage, Inc., conditional use permit to construct a storage building for biosolids on city property located at an unaddressed parcel along 21st Avenue North, parcel ID 3400279, subject to the following conditions. To apply for building and stormwater permits shall be obtained. Community development staff shall have authority to approve minor modifications to that plan. That motion carried 7 ayes, 0 nays. Item 5 was Plan 20-1033, Alliance Development, a site plan to construct a Starbucks building at 1810-1833 A Street South, parcels ID 3411723 and 3411724. Questions were asked regarding building design and traffic flow, with which the applicants responded with further details. Motion by Burkhart, second by Tao, to approve Plan 20-1033 Alliance Development, site plan review to construct a Starbucks building at 1810 to 1833 A Street South, parcel ID 3411723 and 3411724, subject to the following conditions. Parcels 3411723 and parcel 3411724 shall be combined prior to the development construction. Applicable right-of-way permit shall be obtained to be reviewed and approved by the Department of Public Works. An exterior lighting plan shall be submitted for review and approval by the Community Development Department. And number 4 is all applicable buildings and stormwater permits through the City of Wisconsin Rapids and other jurisdictions such as the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources shall be obtained. And 5th, the Community Development Department shall have authority to approve minor modifications to the plan. That motion carried 7-0. Item 6, Plan 20-0720, Community Development Department. An action on a request to amend the zoning code, Chapter 11 of the Municipal Code to modify the secondary review requirements for uses. Motion by Blazer to approve Plan 20-0720, Community Development Department action on a requested amended zoning to modify the secondary review requirement for use. And that was seconded by Bemke. That motion failed 6 nays, 1 A. No, that motion failed 6 A's, 1 nay. Motion to adjourn by Bemke, second by Tao. That motion carried 7 A's, 0 nays. Meeting adjourned at 5:04 p.m. What are your wishes? Mr. Kearns.
I do want to make a correction on that last item. It should be motion failed 1-6, not 6-1. So it was one approved to approve, correct, and then 6 to deny. Yep, correct. So we will make that change in the final version of the minutes.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, can you read over item number 3 again?
Yes, sir. Let me pull it back up. Item 3. That's Plan 20-1020, Wisconsin Rapids Public School District. Conditional use permit to expand the outdoor recreational facilities at 1801 16th Street South, parcel ID 3414751. I'll read it. Mr. Eric Davin of 21st Place South expressed concerns about the future use of the area and the intersection of 21st and Grove Avenue. Motion by Bemke, seconded by Feith to approve the plan 20-102 for the Wisconsin Rapids Public School District. Conditional use permit to expand the outdoor recreational facilities at 1801 16th Street South, parcel ID 3414751, subject to the following conditions. I think this is what you're interested in, maybe. The first is conditional use permit shall only apply to those lands within the City of Wisconsin Rapids. However, if annexation of adjacent property occurs prior to the construction of improvements, this permit shall extend to such annexed lands as shown. And the second one is the site plan review by the Plan Commission shall occur prior to the construction. That motion carried 7 A's, 0 nays.
And thank you for that. And again, I just go back to Kyle, I guess. If this is approved here, what does planning have? What does planning have to do anymore with it? We're in a deep ball game where I agree with the project. I disagree with how we're going about it.
So I think the question I think, Mr. Kearns, is that the next step, Plan Commission will see, once they have designs, those construction designs, those have to come to Planning Commission for review and approval?
Correct. So as part of my conversation with the applicant and their representative, they'd need more information with regards to the site, the parking lot expansion, the concession building. They would need to submit renderings of the concession building and any other major improvements to ensure that the architectural review requirements are met. Once they have them on hand, they submit those materials to our office, and we proceed with scheduling them on the next available Plan Commission meeting.
And the other part, if I can just throw in, is I will throw in. Hopefully, there's no more cost on the city. Because this seems to be a school board project, and should be that the school board is paying for. Be put on the taxpayers of Wisconsin Rapids. We're getting all this out of it, but yeah. The others should have to come in on board. They have to come in on board. And that's why basically I oppose the project. I totally agree with the project, but I totally oppose how it's being paid. Totally agree with how it's being paid. Grand Rapids should come in. Here in Port Edwards, it's been in the newspapers. They're going to benefit by it. They should at least all be asked to participate in.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rayom.
I'll make a motion to approve the report.
We have a motion by Kubaschak to approve the report.
Second.
Second by, oh, Mr. Veneman beat you on the button. So we have a motion and a second to approve the report. Is there any further discussions? Seeing none? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Michelle.
I just had actually Kyle and I were just going back and forth here. At the time of this January 4th meeting, there was no public hearing because it was not noticed, but the Plan Commission went ahead and took a vote. But since we had the public hearing tonight, jointly with Planning Commission and the council, the Plan Commission then did take a vote on these CUPs after having a public hearing. So actually, you're going to, after this meeting is done, you're going to be considering the minutes from the meeting that just took place. So I guess, so technically both of these minutes are going to contain the approvals, and it's probably the second one, the second recommendation that was after the public hearing that really should be the one that you would consider these in. So it probably doesn't make much of a difference one way or the other, but in case there's some confusion when we take up the January 19 minutes. So whether you're, I guess I'm not, we just thought it would be better to have the public hearing and then have them vote again. So you're getting 2 minutes where they're approving the same thing at 2 meetings.
I think what Sue's saying is we were recommending to read the second set of minutes into the record, and then council could jointly act on both sets of minutes, given that they have items pertaining in each sets of those minutes, just so we don't have 2 separate action items from the council on similar topics of 2 Plan Commission agendas.
I have no problem reading the second one. If everybody's willing to withdraw their motion in second.
I'll rescind my motion so we can wrap it up together after you read the other minutes here.
Thank you, Mr. Bemke. You good with that? Or I'm sorry, Mr. Veneman? Okay, thank you. Did you email me that report, or do you have it, or?
I can email it to you unless you want me to read it. I'll let you decide.
As long as you've got it right there, go ahead and read it.
Okay. This is a report of the January 19th Plan Commission meeting, 2021. The Planning Commission met at 6 p.m. on January 19th, 2021 in the council chambers at City Hall and via remote audio conferencing. In-person participation required the use of masks and social distancing guidelines. Members present included Chairperson Shane Blazer, Tom Bray, Elder Jay Bemke, Susan Faith, Shane Burkhart, and Lee Tao. Absent were Dan Hansen. Others attending were members of the Common Council. The meeting was called to order at 6:04 p.m. to conduct 3 public hearings jointly with the Common Council. Item 1, public hearing and possible action on Plan 20-1018, Michelle Sweeney and Virginia Schulke, conditional use permit to operate a dog training use at 1020-1022 West Grand Avenue, parcel identified. Public hearing was opened at 6:45 p.m. Speaking in favor, 0, none. Speaking against, 0, none. Public hearing was closed at 6:49 p.m. Motion by Blazer, second by Burkhart to approve Plan 20-1018, Michelle Sweeney and Virginia Schulke, Conditional use permit to operate a dog training use at 1020, 1022 West Grand Avenue, parcel identified. Subject to the following conditions. Condition 1, the conditional use permit is solely for a dog training use on the property. The outdoor animal bathroom area shall be completely screened from surrounding property within a minimum of a 3-foot, or with a minimum 3-foot high fence. Number 3, outdoor dog training shall occur within a fully fenced area which does not interfere with parking and circulation on site. Number 4, the premise shall be kept clean and orderly, including the disposal of animal waste daily. And finally, number 5, no boarding of animals shall occur on the property. That motion carried 6-0. Item number 2, public hearing and possible action on Plan 2010-20, Wisconsin Rapids School District, conditional use permit to expand the outdoor recreational facilities at 1801 16th Street South, parcel identified. Public hearing was opened at 6:53 p.m. Speaking in favor, Craig Broren, School District Superintendent, spoke in favor of the request. Speaking against, Alder Rayom spoke with concern over the information available and presented for the request. Public hearing was closed at 7:01 p.m. Motion by Bemke, seconded by Bray, to approve Plan 2010-20 Wisconsin Rapids Public School District conditional use permit to expand the outdoor recreational facilities at 1801 16th Street South. Parcel ID is identified. Subject to the following conditions. The conditional use permit shall only apply to those lands within the city of Wisconsin Rapids. However, if annexation of adjacent property occurs prior to the construction of improvements, this permit shall extend to such annexed lands as shown. Number 2, site plan review by the Plan Commission shall occur prior to construction. That motion carried 6-0. Item number 3, public hearing and possible action on Plan 2010-34, Bulk Storage, Inc., conditional use permit to construct a storage building for biosolids on city property located at an unaddressed parcel along 21st Avenue North. Parcel ID is identified. Public hearing was opened at 7:16 p.m. Speaking in favor, Alder Rayom spoke in favor of the request. Speaking against, 0, none. Public hearing was closed at 7:17 p.m. Motion by Feith, seconded by Burkhart, to approve Plan 2010-34 Bulk Storage, Inc., conditional use permit to construct a storage building for biosolids on city property located at an unaddressed parcel along 21st Avenue North. Parcel ID is identified. Subject to the following conditions. 1, applicable building and stormwater permits shall be obtained. 2, community development staff shall have the authority to approve minor modifications to the plan. Motion carried 6-0. Adjournment. Motion by Blazer, seconded by Bemke to adjourn. Motion carried 6-0. Meeting adjourned at 7:19 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Kearns. Council, what are your wishes?
I'll make a motion to approve both or accept both iterations of the Plan Commission narrative tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Kubaschak. Now nobody wants a second. Mr. Veneman seconded it. Anybody have any?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Can I just add a question?
Yes, sir.
We can go back to the one about quadplex, just to read what that was then again.
Mr. Kearns, could you read the quadplex from your
Yes.
report?
Item number 2, public hearing and possible action on Plan 2010-20 Wisconsin Rapids Public School District, conditional use permit to expand the outdoor recreational facilities at 1801 16th Street South, parcel ID 3414751. Public hearing was open at 6:53 p.m. Speaking in favor, Craig Broren, School District Superintendent, spoke in favor of the request. Speaking against, Alder Rayom spoke with concern over the information available and presented for the request. Public hearing was closed at 7:01 p.m. Motion by Bemke, second by Bray, to approve Plan 2010-20 Wisconsin Rapids School District, conditional use permit to expand the outdoor recreational facilities at 1801 16th Street South, parcel ID 3414751, subject to the following conditions. The conditional use permit shall only apply to those lands within the city of Wisconsin Rapids. However, if annexation of adjacent property occurs prior to the construction of improvements, this permit shall extend to such annexed lands as shown. And what you can't see is a map of the school district property and then the area adjacent outside of the city limits. Condition number two, site plan review by the Plan Commission shall occur prior to construction. Motion carried 6-0.
Thank you for that, Kyle. I totally appreciate having you read that again. And I have questions on how much the city's going to have to put up to pay for this.
I call for the
And
question.
So I think that's why I'm on top of it. It's how much is the city going to have to put up to pay for it,
So we had Mr.
and how
Kubic.
it should be. Okay.
Yep.
And how? Okay.
So we have Mr. Kubiak called for the question.
Well, he's cut me off twice in the last month, so.
So what by calling the question, it's a motion to cease debate? Okay.
Those are my lawyers. So.
So we have a motion by Mr. Kubiak he called for the question to cease debate. Is there a second? We have a second by Bemke. It doesn't matter, or we can do, if everyone's good with a voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any online?
No.
I vote nay.
You vote nay?
That's from.
Okay, and Mr. Koth?
Nay.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry, Mr. Koth, I didn't hear you.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. What's that? Yep. So the motion on the floor right now is to approve the report. All in favor, I guess, push your, you ready? I'm sorry. Okay. Please cast your ballots. Mr. Zerflu?
Aye.
Mr. Rayom?
No.
And Mr. Koth?
Aye.
That motion carried. 6 ayes and 1 nay. We are on to item 11, consider the adoption and action of the standing committees of the Common Council as follows. The first would be the Finance and Property Committee held January 12th. Mr. Koth?
Thank you, Your Honor. Property and Finance Committee met Tuesday, January 12th, 2021 at 4:30 p.m. All members were present. A list of others attending is on file with the clerk's office. There's an error here. It said Alderperson Kellogg called to order at 4:35 p.m. I called to order at 4:35 p.m. First business item was consider for approval the appointment of Leanna S. Johnson as successor agent for the Class A beer license and Class A intoxicating liquor license for Quick Trip Incorporated and doing business as Quick Trip 128, 1111 Lincoln Street. Moved by Cole, seconded by Kellogg. To approve the appointment of Leanna S. Johnson as successor agent for the Class A beer license, Class A intoxicating liquor license for Quick Trip Inc. doing business as Quick Trip 128, located at 1111 Lincoln Street. Motion carried. Item number 3 was consider a request from the Wisconsin Rapids Raptors for approval for them to make improvements to the Witter Field, including installing more home plate club seating, expanding the Point Craft River area, and expanding accessible seating area. It was moved by Kellogg, seconded by Kubiak to approve the Wisconsin Rapids Raptors request to make improvements to Witter Field, including installing more home plate club seating, expanding the Point Craft River area, and expanding the accessible seating area. Motion carried. Item number 4 was consider quadplex referral cost estimates for extending sewer and water to the proposed quadplex project. It was moved by Kellogg, seconded by Kubitschek to approve installing 8-inch sanitary sewer main and 4-inch water main from 21st Place South to a point 500 feet west from west at an estimated cost of $125,000 and install a sanitary lateral and water service from right-of-way to proposed concession building location at an estimated cost of $35,000. Motion carried. Item number 5 was consider a request from Town of Grand Rapids for use of City of Wisconsin Rapids property for a walk bike trail extension from the City of Wisconsin Rapids along County Highway W to Lake Wazeecha using city-owned railroad right-of-way from 32nd Street to 48th Street and connect to North Beach Road from 48th Street to Lake Wazeecha. It was moved by Kubitschek, seconded by Kellogg, to direct staff to work with the Town of Grand Rapids to develop an agreement addressing the Town of Grand Rapids request and refer the agreement back to the Finance and Property Committee for consideration. Motion carried. Item number 6 was consider for approval a grant application for an Assistance to Firefighters Grant, AFG, in the amount of $62,525. It was moved by Colt, seconded by Kubitschek to approve the grant application to Assistance to Firefighters Grant in the amount of $62,525. Motion carried. Item number 7, consider approving a proposal for architectural design for an addition and renovation of fire stations. It was moved by Kellogg, seconded by Kubitschek to approve an agreement with Wendell Architecture, PC, for professional design services for the proposed additions and renovations, remodels to both fire stations. Motion carried. Item number 8 was review and approve proposals to provide uniform and entry rug services to the City of Wisconsin Rapids. It was moved by Colt, seconded by Kellogg to approve the proposal from UniFirst in the amount of $16,220.36 and enter into a 1-year contract with UniFirst with the authority granted to the Public Works Superintendent to extend into a 2-year contract if the service is satisfactory from the vendor, or terminate the contract after the 1 year if service is not satisfactory. Motion carried. Item 9 was review and approve purchase of one 16-foot mower. It was moved by Cole, seconded by Kubitschek to approve the purchase of a Jacobson HR 800 4-wheel drive mower from Horse Distributing Incorporated for $87,890. Motion carried. Item number 10 was review and approve proposal to purchase TAG equipment trailer. It was moved by Kubitschek, seconded by Kellogg to approve the purchase of a Minnesota TV 22 trailer from LT Trailers LCC for $9,080. Motion carried. Item number 11 was audit of the bills. It was moved by Colt, seconded by Kellogg to approve check number 6523 to 6865. Motion carried. Item number 12 was set next meeting date. The next regularly scheduled Finance and Property Committee will be Tuesday, February 2nd, 2021 at 4:30 p.m. Item number 13 was adjournment. Motion by Kubitschek, seconded by Kellogg to adjourn. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 5:57 p.m. There was a request that was sent out to me earlier today to hold item number 8 out, and I will stop here to see if anyone else wants any other items held out.
This is Scott Kellogg. I like to hold out number 9.
Okay, number 9. Anyone else want any other items held out?
Steve, I think it's number 3. Does that do with the quadplex?
No, Tom, that'd be number 4 for the conflict.
Okay, I don't have it right in front of me.
Oh, that's fine. So I got 4, 8, and 9. Does anyone else want anything else held out? Going once, going twice, then I'll approve for the adoption of the minutes, holding out items number 4, 8, and 9.
I think we have a motion by Mr. Koth. Second by Mr. Kellogg's already hit the button. We can't see it. All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve the balance of the report, holding out items 4, 8, and 9. Any further discussion on that balance? I'm seeing none. Please cast your ballots. Mr. Zerflu,
Aye.
Mr. Aom,
Aye.
and Mr. Cove.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion carried, 7 ayes, 0 nays. Regarding item number 4, take them in order. Mr. Aom.
Yeah, I just held it out because I guess to continue I hope we have more discussions on this before actually something digs in the ground. And so I have to continue with that to vote against it, even though I support the project, but it's how it's paid for.
Okay, thank you. Councils, what are your wishes? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to vote against it, and so I'm going to vote against it on those principles. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Council, what are your wishes?
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion by Bemke, second by Kubaschak. Oh, Veneman beat you.
I'm only a tech person, I can't vote.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the item as presented. Seeing no further discussion.
Your
please-
Honor,
Yes, sir.
sorry, it's a little different being at home when you don't got your button where you can chime in.
Yep, no problem.
But I appreciate where Tom is coming from on this, and I understand there's the concern on the financial aspect. I guess thinking about it, I agree with the project, but I know when we talked about it at the Property and Finance Committee meeting, we were fuzzy on the details of the funding, but then just not trying to sound cheap or anything else either, but I just want to make sure that we put the project forward, that there's a cap on what the city's responsibility for this is, and that we do adequately fund it, and that if there's some mechanism where we're kept in the loop on this project, and if I know Craig has communicated to me about, and he communicated at the last Property and Finance Committee meeting, that there's a lot of donors that are willing to step forward and make significant financial contributions to the project. But just if we had an update, like if anything on that end fell apart, that this item could come back for reconsideration before we would stick a shovel in the ground then.
Thank you, Steve. I can stay in contact with Craig and update the council through email, should there be any questions or concerns. Okay, hearing nothing further, please cast your ballots. Mr. Zerflu.
Aye.
Mr. Rayon
Nay.
and Mr. Coth.
Yay.
Okay, okay. That motion carried, 6 ayes and 1 nay. On to item number 8. The information you received, Mr. Coth, do you want to relay that?
Yeah, the superintendent from Public Works Department reached out to me and subsequently sent an email. In review of the RFP request from the vendors for pricing and for a 2-year contract was with the capability to extend it for a 5-year contract with increases. The contractor was willing to hold their prices for 3 years and then request a 3% increase for year 4 and 5. So he just wanted to have the language amended on this to approve the proposal from UniFirst to enter into a 5-year contract for uniforms and entry rugs. Years 1 through 3 shall be in the amount of $16,220.36, and a 3% increase in subsequent years. Public Works Superintendent to include a contract cancellation clause if the vendor is not meeting the requirements of the contract. The city will give written notification of contract termination within 90 days.
Is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
We have a second by Kubaschak. Is there any further discussion on the item?
Yeah, for clarification, was that 3% in the fourth and then 3% again in the fifth?
That's my understanding, correct, Mr. Cole?
Yeah, that's the information I have in front of me on it as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion on that item? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. Mr. Zerflu?
Aye.
Mr. Aom?
Aye.
And Mr. Koth?
Aye.
Thank you.
Did you get Tom?
Yes. That motion carried 7 ayes, 0 nays. And item number 9.
I held it up.
Oh, thank you. I forgot already.
One of my constituents had a concern about, and this is a discussion we had with regard to the cutting of the grass on the hill along the expressway. And the Common Council has talked about that for a couple of years. Finally, this last year, it was cut. And this person raised the question that, will they be able to cut hills with this lawnmower? Or do we have apparently, we have a lawnmower that can. At one time, we were told that we didn't have a lawnmower that could cut that grass, that hill, at that pitch. And so apparently we do now because last year it was cut. But he wants to make sure, and I kind of agree, if we do have a lawnmower, that's fine. If we don't, should we get a lawnmower that can cut the hills that we have now?
So maybe Mr. Terry, you might have some information, but the lawnmower that we have, if you notice, is cutting at an angle, and I think they only cut down and go over and come. So this lawnmower, correct me if I'm wrong, is not a hill cutting lawnmower. And my understanding now is that they are very expensive. Mr. Terry, do you have some better information than I have?
Mr. Mayor, your information is correct. We are able to mow at a diagonal in one direction, so we are able to mow that hill. It's just very time consuming. And in looking at our fleet of equipment and needs to replace what we have, that's what this purchase does. And to look at a exclusive slope mower at this point is cost prohibitive, and so our recommendation is to replace our batwing mower with this Jacobson, and basically it keeps our fleet the same as what it currently is.
And we'll still be able to continue to mow the hill with the equipment that we have.
Okay, as long as we can continue it, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. I've been a champion of mowing that hill for years now, so I'll be on it.
Hey, Joe.
Go ahead,
Mayor.
Tom. Yes, sir.
Mayor, can I ask, I'd like to ask Joe what the cost of a mower would be.
Mr. Ilma, I don't have that number in front of me, but
Okay.
My recollection that it's over $100,000 for a hillside mower, and they don't particularly mow a wide swath either, and so as far as speed goes, they're not particularly fast. They're safe on a side slope, But as we looked at it, it didn't look like it would really be much faster than us going in one direction and kind of running around the block. So
Thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And correct me if I'm wrong, though, is also, this is replacing a mower with the wings, and so if we looked at a hill mower, it'd almost have to be an additional mower, not having a mower that could accommodate both. So it would be
that is correct.
okay. Yeah, I was quite surprised on the price tag. Any further discussion? Seeing none, what are your wishes?
Move to approve the,
Now you, we have a motion by Veneman, second by Kubishak. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. Mr. Zerflu
Aye.
and Mr. Rayom
Aye.
and Mr. Koth.
Aye.
Thank you. And that motion carried 7 ayes, 0 nays. And we are on to the Public Works Committee meeting from January 5th. Mr. Rayom.
Okay. Try to read it here. Public Works Committee met on Tuesday, January 5th, 2021, via remote video conference. Tom Rayom, Jay Bemke substituting for Jay Ketnaugh, and Dean Veneman were present. Others attending are on file in the clerk's office. Item number 1, we called the meeting to order. Meeting was called to order at 6:01 p.m. Item number 2, DPW report. DPW report was reviewed. And Joe talked about it. He sent it out. I think everybody should have got a copy of it. It's on the website. Review 1 Mile Creek stormwater dredging project scope. Motion by Veneman, second by Bemke to expand the 1 Mile Creek stormwater dredging project to include repairing the lower dam, dredging the lower pond, removing the upper dam, and removing the upper pond for an estimated $307,000. Budget was for $270,000, but the motion carried 3-0. At least what we were told at the meeting, that there was money in the stormwater fund to cover that. The overage. So item number 4, review speed limit on 2 Mile Avenue east of 16th Street. Motion by Veneman, second by Bemke to update 340.003, Karen 5, to include a 35 mile per hour speed limit on 2 Mile Avenue from 16th Street to the east city limits. Motion carried 3-0. Item 5, review proposals for consulting services to assist the city in purchasing necessary real estate for the West Jackson Street project. Motion by Rayom, seconded by Veneman, to accept the proposal by Streetland to provide West Jackson Street real estate services. Motion carried 3-0. Item number 6, review proposals from consulting services to develop a transportation utility model. Motion by Veneman, second by Rayom, to accept the proposal by Ehlers and R.A. Smith to provide transportation utility model and economic analysis services. Motion carried 3-0. Item number 7, review the referral list, and we did that, and we reviewed it, and I don't think we took anything off of it. And then item number 8 was to adjourn, and the motion was made by Bemke, second by Rayom to adjourn, and the motion carried 3-0. Meeting adjourned at 6:35 p.m. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I put that in front of the council for approval.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rayom. Motion by Rayom, seconded by Koth.
Yep.
Oh, I said Bebke beat you on the button. I have a question, I guess if you'll indulge me for a second to ask. In the report, it says, under the 1 Mile Creek, it says remove the upper pond. Should that be, should say dredge the upper pond? Because we're not eliminating the upper pond, are we? It's removing the upper dam and dredging the upper pond?
That's correct. That's a correction, error on my part in typing the minutes.
No problem. Sounds good. I just wanted to make sure that we were not getting rid of it. Thank you.
I actually have a question too, Joe. On number 6.
Your button.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry. Your microphone?
It's on.
Okay. It didn't sound like it. Sorry.
Oh, I'm always loud. I can't remember on your notes. Is number 6, was that proposal by them and not to exceed an amount, wasn't it?
That's correct. It's a not to exceed 20,000, which is our budget.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. Thanks.
Sounds good. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, can I just ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this time. Just go back and actually go back to Joe. And go back to Joe on item 3 again, just so it's clarified in my mind what we did that night.
Right. So the motion should read, motion by Veneman, second by Benke, to expand the 1 Mile Creek stormwater dredging project to include repairing the lower dam, dredging the lower pond, removing the upper dam, and dredging the upper pond for an estimated $307,000.
Okay. And dredging. I just want to get the right words in the right place, so that's all.
Yep.
That's what I understood at the meeting. So I
Correct.
just wanted to clarify, okay, where the words were changed, so, yep.
Sounds good. Mr. Bemke?
Joe, or if you're still there, do you have a timeline for this project for the 1 Mile Creek? Any idea when you're going to do that, this year, next year?
So we have a lot of work that we need to do before we can physically do the construction. The goal is to get it done by the end of the calendar year, this year. That's our goal. With this action, there's a lot of administrative work that needs to take place in advance. We need to work with the property owners, get easements. Once those are done, work with the DNR to get permits. Once that's done, we can be planning the work. And I would anticipate we would do that work, in the wintertime, as far as the actual dredging work. So we'd have to talk a little bit about project management as far as, when any repairs are going to take place and how we're going to do that. So we will have those planning activities to do yet as well.
Very good. Thank you.
Mr. Veneman?
Yeah, and again, Mr. Terry, on number 3, could you just reiterate where the difference between the 307,000 and the 270,000 budget is coming from?
Certainly. So the project that was budgeted was to repair the lower dam and to dredge the lower pond, and that was all that was put in the budget for that project. The additional amount is for the removal of that upper dam and then the dredging of the upper pond. So that's the difference in the cost.
Okay. Thank you.
And Joe, that's in our stormwater fund, isn't it?
That would be paid for through the stormwater utility, wherein the funds are available to perform the project.
So funds are available.
Yep.
Funds are available, yes.
Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. Mr. Zerflu?
Aye.
Mr. Rayom?
Aye.
And Mr. Koth?
Aye.
Thank you. And we have a motion carried, 7 ayes, 0 nays. We are up to the Human Resource Committee meeting held on January 7th. Mr. Kubaschak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A meeting of the Human Resources Committee was held Thursday, January 7th, 2021 at 4:30 p.m. via remote video conferencing originating from the City Hall Council chambers. All members present. Everybody else is on file in the clerk's office. Item number 1, call to order. Chairperson Kubaschak called the order at 4:30 p.m. Item number 2 is discuss and consider requisition request for an aquatic building maintenance technician position at the aquatic facility. Motion by Kubaschak, second by Bemke to approve requisition request for an aquatic building maintenance position at the aquatics facility. Job description as presented will be modified to reflect that a Class B driver's license for CDL with air brakes may be required or requested. Motion carried 3-0. Item number 3, discuss and consider for approval the submission of a request for proposal for a city employee wage study. Motion by Kubaschak, second by Bemke to approve to proceed with the seeking of proposals for the performance of an employee compensation wage study. Motion carried 3-0. Item number 4, HR Department update. Department of Public Works positions of sewer construction group lead and street supervisor starting 1/11/2021. Finance Department new position of assistant director of finance interview phase is complete, and COVID-19 vaccine update was offered by the human resources manager. Item number 5, adjournment. Motion by Bemke, second by Zerflu was carried to adjourn. Motion carried 3-0. The meeting adjourned at 4:45 p.m. And unless anybody's got anything to hold out, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Motion approved.
That's
All Alderperson Rayon, motion approved.
okay. So, and you've got it mixed up on there.
I guess that'd be the second.
Okay, sounds good. Perfect.
I misunderstood that on that, so, okay.
Okay, sounds good. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. Mr. Zerflu?
Aye.
Mr. Rayon?
Aye.
And Mr. Koth?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion carried, 7 ayes, 0 nays. We are on to number 12, reports of other committees, commissions, and boards and departmental reports.
I'll make a motion to have them placed on file in the clerk's office.
We have a motion by Kubaschak to place on file. And then we have a second by Mr. Kellogg. Any further discussions? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. Mr. Zerflu?
Aye.
Mr. Rayon?
Aye.
And Mr. Koth?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion carried, 7 ayes, 0 nays. We are on to referrals to committees. Does anybody have any? Does the clerk have any? Nope. Okay. We're to item 14, adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion by Kubaschak,
Come on, Jay.
second by Bemke. Let's do all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.